scrumlife.com, 3 types of retrospectives for Scrum Masters. All right, so my very first type of retrospective, my very most favorite type of retrospective is plain old sticky notes on a whiteboard, sticky notes on a wall, on a window with your team. And you basically ask your team 3 questions. What went well? What didn't go well? And what did we learn? And essentially, what do we want to move forward with what we learned to implement in our future sprints? Very simple. I think this is the best. You don't get clouded with technology. You don't get clouded with trying to use all of these different potential tools that you could be using, and different teammates could be confused with these tools. So my top number one favorite type of retrospective is just with plain sticky notes on a wall. Now, with remote work and with hybrid work, I know for a lot of people, it's difficult to be in the same place. And so many organizations are using digital tools to do this. Well, the easiest tool that I've been able to find is a tool like this. And so sometimes you can use Miro, you can use um, a lot of different tools that do this. I'm using, this is a vibe board right now that I'm using. And so you essentially create the digital board that you would write on, if this was a sticky note wall that we were doing, or a sticky note retrospective we were doing with the physical sticky notes. We'd make these 4 columns. What went well this sprint, what went bad or didn't go well this sprint, what did we learn this sprint, and then ultimately, what is our Kaizen, or what do we want to take and move forward and implement. Kaizen is a Japanese word for continuous improvement. So that is something that you want to make sure that as a Scrum team, you're always doing, continuously evolving, continuously moving forward, continuously getting better. And so you want to look at what did we learn in this previous iteration that we want to move forward with us or take forward with us into upcoming sprints. And so everyone grabs a card. They can duplicate cards. They write on the card. If they want to remain anonymous and they don't want to write their names on them, they don't have to. If they want to, they can. And then ultimately, we'll talk about it and decide what the Kaizen are for us that we've learned in this upcoming sprint. And so we'll take these 3 columns, and based on the discussion that we have, we'll put them into some cards in the 4th column that we carry forward with us. And so that's the first type of retrospective. Second type of retrospective is going to be, this is going to be in Trello. And so I've created this board in Trello. And so this is a Walking Dead retrospective. I'm a huge fan of the zombie TV series, The Walking Dead. And so you'll see all of your original characters here. And so I'm going to give you a bonus tip for your retrospectives. Actually, I'll give you a couple of bonus tips. First bonus tip is I like to play music for my retrospectives. Play some music so that you can set the mood for your retrospective. I normally like to play something that's a little bit relaxing. So I'll play like some Otis Redding. I'll play some James Brown. I'll play some, just kind of in that genre, just to kind of set the mood. I've got a retrospective playlist on Tidal that I normally play for my retros, because as your team is thinking about this sprint and the way it unfolded for them, you want them to be kind of uninterrupted. And so we'll ask everybody to mute their microphones and go ahead and take a minute to think through these things. We'll give them 5 or 10 minutes, and sometimes I'll put a timer up on the screen so that they know how much time they have to fill in these retrospective items. Bonus tip number 1, play music. Bonus tip number 2, have an icebreaker, right? And so this Walking Dead theme retrospective, you can set your background here by clicking the button over here and select change background, and you can do a custom background. And so I'll go ahead and zoom in here so you guys can see the titles of each of these. And so this is kind of a hybrid between our emoji or meme retrospective and the Walking Dead retrospective. And so the first icebreaker item that we use for this one is, if the zombie apocalypse was upon us and I had to choose 3 people to be in my group, who would you choose and why? And so team members can add a card here, and in the card they can add, the 3 names or the 3 people that they would like to choose. Sometimes they choose real life people that they actually know, a friend or family member that may be in the military, or maybe has a large cache of weapons that they could use to help them survive the zombie apocalypse, or a doctor or a medical professional that is maybe a brother or a sister or a cousin or somebody that they know. Or they could also choose a figure that they don't know, or someone that they don't know. Like I've had someone say they wanted to choose The Rock, or, someone really strong that could help them out. I've also had people say that they want to choose their older, overweight family member, so that when the zombies are coming, they can like push them down, or they know they can run faster than them, and they'll know they'll be able to live another day, right? Ha ha ha! It's all fun and jokes, right? But or they could choose someone from the cast here. Of course, you got Rick, you got Michonne, you got Glenn, you got Maggie, you've got all of these wonderful characters from the Walking Dead universe who have their own unique skills that people may want to be paired up with, right? And so after they make this list, and you would basically kind of walk down the board and call on each person to tell us, who are the three people you chose and why, right? It's a really good way to kind of break the ice for the team, have some laughs. Some folks will probably tell some jokes. You'll probably learn a little bit about specific skill sets that people on your team have, as well as the skill sets or hobbies of the friends and family around them, right? So that would be the icebreaker. So there's two bonus items, right? Play music and have an icebreaker. And then we'll walk through this list, and we've got the columns for what we want to fill in for our team members, right? So what are we thankful for? So ideally, members of the team will go through and they'll add a card documenting the things that they are thankful for this sprint. What grinded our gears? And so these are the things that, kind of made us angry or made us upset or frustrated us. They'll list those out and we'll discuss them as well. What do we need to work on, right? So we got the under construction sign. Kudos to. And so this is a really good opportunity for teammates to shout out other people on their team or on teams adjacent to them or that they interface with, because as we know, there are a lot of teams that are, well, one, there are a lot of teams that aren't necessarily cross-functional, and so they have some dependencies on some external teams. But then there are also some teams who are cross-functional, but because they're working within a particular program with other teams, they still need to lean on other teams for certain things. And so if someone on another team helped you out, or you were able to pair program with someone, or you were able to mob or swarm with a group of people, you may give kudos to those people for whatever reason. And then finally, this is another kind of icebreaker item that you may use for your teams to help you just get to know one another better. I got to know a lot of my teams while I worked at Nike specifically really well one day, but looking forward to this weekend and so people have an opportunity to kind of open up and share with you what they plan to do over the weekend. And so I found out that some people were avid sneakerheads waiting for a new release. I found out some people were into like powerlifting and did powerlifting competitions on the weekends, and worked out for those competitions in their garage. I found out that some people were into like hiking and were going to hike some trails and hike some mountains over the weekend, right? All of these amazing things that your teammates do. Found out some people were like gamers, and a couple of people who had been on the team together for years were gamers, and they didn't even know they were gamers. They hadn't shared that part of their life with one another. And so you really have an opportunity to see a different side of your team that you don't normally get the chance to discuss when you kind of discuss some of these things that are outside of the box from your regular traditional delivery related work. And so these are the type of things that helps ingratiate a team to one another and helps kind of build that bond. These are those kind of team building activities and things that teams can do to get better. So that is retrospective type number 2. What is the purpose of a retrospective? Well, before we get to item number 3, the purpose of a retrospective is an opportunity for a team to inspect and adapt. A retrospective allows a team to inspect not the what that they completed in the previous iteration, but how they worked together. How did they communicate? How did they engage? How did they support one another? Retrospectives gives teams the opportunity to review that, discuss that, and then identify any improvement areas that they want to pull out of that. And so these can be improvements to the process, improvements to the way they communicate, improvements to the way they learn, but ultimately all types of improvements. And so a retrospective is a safe space for a team, and you want to make sure that only the proper team is in a retrospective, and that is developers, product owner or product manager, and scrum master. Although, depending on the type of team that you've got, your organization, and the culture, I have seen a lot of organizations where the development team isn't comfortable having a product owner in the retrospective with them. And that's because they view the product owner not as an ally or as a member of the team, but as an outsider to the team. And sometimes as an adversary. And that in and of itself is an anti pattern that a scrum master has to work really hard at helping to shift the way the team thinks, the way the product owner thinks, and the way ultimately they all behave and react towards one another. So sometimes that can be a very heavy lift for a scrum master on a team, but it's not an impossible one. And I encourage you to take that up. Have you found value in this video so far? I hope you have. This episode is brought to you by Mansa Tech Training Academy. Mansa Tech helps professionals who want to transition into a career in technology, or professionals who are already working in technology upskill through training, coaching, workshops, and mentorships. To date, students have received over $25 million in job offers and counting. If you're interested in either upskilling yourself and becoming a better Scrum Master or a better Agilist, product owner, project manager, take a look at Mansa Tech Training Academy. You can visit their website, academy.mansatech.com, or you can text Scrum to 469-382-5890. And that is going to bring us to our final type of retrospective. And this retrospective is done in Miro, which is another tool that you can use for your retrospectives. But this is a sailboat retrospective. And so in a sailboat retrospective, you basically got 4 quadrants. And so in these 4 quadrants, you've got the wind quadrant, the anchor quadrant, beacon on the horizon quadrant, and obstacles. And so what you do is you share this board with your team, and you can see the sticky notes here, and individuals can type in their message to each of these sticky notes. And so in this quadrant, you would put, what was the wind in our sails in this sprint or this iteration? What was the thing that pushed or propelled the team forward? What was the thing that helped us? And then you've got the anchor, right? And so the team documents, what was the thing that anchored us or held us back? What was the thing that didn't allow us to be great this sprint? Then you got the obstacle quadrant, obstacles we see ahead. What are the obstacles that are potentially coming up in future sprints and future iterations? What are the things that we need to be on the lookout for, and how can we identify them, plan for them, and navigate around them so that they don't actually become obstacles that actually impede our progress? And then finally, the beacon on the horizon. What is a milestone? What is something that we are looking towards that is kind of our North Star that is guiding the way this team works and the way this team works together? And so ultimately, again, you give the team time to fill this out, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, play some relaxing music, allow them to think in peace, to document this. And then finally, as a Scrum Master, you come back together and you have this conversation with your team about each of these items. You identify the pain points that you guys want to take forward and ultimately implement as changes in your process and things that will help you deliver more valuable products to your customers and work more efficiently as a development team. And that brings us to the end of this episode of 3 retrospectives for Scrum Masters. Again, I'm your host, Victor Adetiba with scrumlife.com. Like, comment, and subscribe. And let me know, what is your favorite type of retrospective? What is your least favorite type of retrospective? See you next time. Thanks.